What's up guys, hope everyone is doing well. In this video I'm going to be going over some updates for XYO, but nonetheless, to get it started, the first chart that I want to talk about here is the 6 hour. I want to go over these trend lines, some of which I already touched on in the last video. Here we see the descending resistance. XYO has since around the 15th of this month, it's kind of been oscillating around it. Currently it sits below it. If you look here at the descending support, you can see XYO recently has gotten below it, closed 2 candles below it, although it's within the last 30 minutes or so to an hour made quite a interesting move, which I'll get to here in a moment. There's also this ascending green support that I pointed out in the last video that recently has been broken. Just to get this out of the way again, just want to restate that this pink box denoting a penny all the way up to the rest of the vector zone that's left at around basically 0.13 on the dot. I do not personally want to see XYO start to close significantly below this, so a penny on the daily or higher. But zooming in here to go to a lower time frame, let's just go all the way down to the minute to really see what's been going on. So we saw XYO, it's obviously here going sideways, bobbing up and down from around around 0.13 all the way up to around 0.14. Then it very sporadically and spontaneously, really typical of XYO's price action. It's kind of really two words that I think very accurately describe how XYO likes to move. And then it just really shot up like a rocket from here all the way up to around 0.16, and then quickly here you can see came down a little bit over 50% of that move. It's currently just going sideways along the 50 EMA band here. Let's move a little bit higher. Let's go to the 15-minute. You can start to see some retracement here. The new candle just opened up, coming down. The vector zone ends at around 0.1, basically 0.14, just approximately. Also, just roughly where the 50 EMA and its band are. So, I mean, a lot of times when you see XYO do this, a lot of people may think, oh, it's getting ready to start, going higher. But I mean, a lot of the times, really looking at XYO's price, when it makes spikes like these, it's also just as likely that it, continues to go lower. I've seen that happen many times, watching XYO's price for the last, roughly, 4 years or so. So, I mean, at this point, I mean, I think it could continue to go lower, or, this could be right here. This could have been the local low that XYO set. Now, for those of you who are watching this video that has saw my last video, or mainly the last video, but the last 2 videos that I made for XYO, it would make a lot of sense with respect to the context of that video that this right here would actually be the local low, although as I said in that video, the last video, definitely could definitely see XYO continue to go lower here, and that's again really just denoted by this pink box. I don't want to see it really go any lower than that for a long period of time. It could close a few daily candles a little bit below a penny. As long as it just finds support at a penny and higher, that's just personally what I want to see. I don't think it'll be good technically wise and in terms of psychological sentiment to see XYO start to really entrench itself below around a penny. But if we look here at the daily chart, this being an update here, I want to point out this ascending resistance, or ascending support rather, here on the RSI, as you can see, going all the way back to roughly June 20th of last year. You can see that the RSI is just a tad bit above it, hasn't come down quite to it just yet. But it's also interesting to note that the RSI is encroaching upon being as oversold as it was back on, within the first week of November of last year, 2024, when XYO was priced at approximately, really almost right at half a penny on the dot. Yet if we look at the price now, it is at around 0.15, so it's roughly 3 times higher than that, yet the RSI has essentially reset itself back down to that same level. That is a good sign to see, amongst other things, mainly what I spoke about in the last video, which I will briefly spend some time here to go over that, which I'll get into in the next chart on the 4-day, but I want to first take a fractal or a bar pattern of this last retracement, which is what I'm comparing the current retracement to for a very good reason. Again, as I went over in the last video, if we compare this without stretching the bar pattern or anything, and I put the all-time high, or not the all-time high, but the local highs right on top of each other, you can see that currently XYO is lining up right with when XYO bottomed out and started to go sideways last time around, just to show the price actually. If this ends up playing out temporally speaking, then right here when XYO bottomed out and set this sideways, double bottom, if you will, if you want to look at it that way. Right here, January, late January to February 2024. Now, again, it's just a year later, late January, leading into early February 2025, and we're seeing something very similar. Now, again, looking here at the 4-day chart, just want to quickly point out the temporal trend. So if we go all the way back to the beginning of the bull market for XYO, September, October 2023 right here, XYO moved up here towards early December, then retraced here to January, February 2024, then moved up here to March, April 2024, retraced all the way back down here, September, October right here, 2024. Had a build-up movement up here towards November, late November, then really just went on a full rocket shot all the way up to around 4.5 cents recently, and the beginning of December 2024. Again, this is all, again, so this is connected here, this is connected here, and if things end up falling through, then this move right here, ending in March, April 2024, will coincide with March, April, maybe, perhaps maybe early May if this extends a little bit, because I think that's definitely possible. But around March, April, if this continues to play out and this temporal trend plays out, such as it has for Bitcoin, as I pointed out in the last video, which I'll touch on that briefly, and even actually go over the temporal trend that you see in Ethereum, Cardano, and I'll go over Phantom as well. And we're seeing this, not just here in XYO, but we're seeing it across the board for cryptocurrencies. The vast majority of them are having this exact same temporal trend where you see an importance of September, October for local lows, moves up towards a high in December, corrects a bit into January, February, then moves back up to another local high in March to April. Then it has just repeated that since the bull market began for most coins, especially Bitcoin, mainly speaking, at the end of 2022. So for 2 years at this point, we've seen this temporal trend validated. Now we're leading into year 3. Will it be validated again? I think it's more likely than not, but this could also very well be the point in time that we see this temporal trend invalidated. One thing I want to point out that I didn't point out in the last video is that, again, so back in January, February 2024, you can see here that the price found the local low just right above and right on top of the 50 EMA band. That is currently where the price of XYO is right now, again at the same time, January, February, just a year later. Also, if I take the Fibonacci retracement, this is one that I didn't go over in the last video, of this entire move, first bull market move for XYO. Here we'll just characterize it as an ABC move. You can see that it bottomed out with respect to the 382 right here. Went a little bit below it, but ultimately it bottomed out locally with respect to the 382. And we see that not only did this most recent move top out with respect to the 457, but if I take this retracement a little bit lower, you can see that the second leg right here, the first overall move, topped out just a little bit below, but ultimately with respect to the 1.457. So that is very important, which I pointed that out in the in the prior video. If we take the retracement here, this first recent move, just as I did this first one back here, and the second one here was hit the 1.457. 1.457 points up to around 13-14 cents, which is directly within the range that I've been pointing out, somewhere around 12 to 16 cents for the next move locally for XYO towards the upside. So factoring, let's just assume that that's going to be correct. So if that is correct, then I would need to take the retracement from somewhere around 13.6 down to the local low here, early September, just a little bit below half a penny. And you can see that right now the price is currently right at and a little bit below the 382, also right at the top of the 50 EMA band, which again, just to point it out, is exactly what we saw here for the entire move last time at the 382 right here in January, February 2024, right above the 50 EMA band, and we're seeing the exact same thing just a year later in 2025. If we look down here at the RVI, I want to point out again some similarities here. If we look here, so it's really we're gonna look at this portion of the price, and we look at that portion on the RVI. You can see it was in the overbought territory. Had a quick move all the way down to the oversold territory, made an ascending double bottom here, and then shot back up. We look here at the next iteration where we could see some mimicry here, circled just as I did back here. Look at the RVI, you can see it was also at the same level in the oversold, or the overbought territory, and now it has moved very quickly down to the oversold territory. And we're seeing this time around a far more drastic W, but we could potentially again be seeing an ascending W here that moves towards the upside. So I think that's also another very interesting similarity to point out, because clearly there is a temporal similarity and just the way the price structure looks itself similarity that I've already pointed out with the Fibonacci retracements, with the 50 EMA band, so on and so forth. If we look here at the weekly, we can see mainly what I want to point out here is if we look here at this RSI, we can see this uptrend going all the way back to early September of 2024. The RSI is coming right down to it. Hasn't touched it just yet, but it's essentially just, tad bit, just a centimeter, probably less than a centimeter above it. Again, similar to the daily RSI uptrend that I pointed out. So that could be not coincidentally finding confluence with everything else I've already pointed out to support that XYO is already locally bottomed out, or soon will be locally bottoming out. Maybe we see some quick movement down to around 0.12, maybe even some wicks down to 0.1, right at a penny. Also, if we look here at the RVI, you can see there's an uptrend as well, and the RVI is not as close to it as the RSI was to its uptrend, but it's still nonetheless it's close, and it could definitely still come down a little bit more and actually meet that support and bounce from there. We also see that the RVI is currently essentially, it's not right horizontally at it, but it's essentially as oversold as it was back in late October 2024. So we can see here that comparing the RVI right here to where we are currently, see there's clearly quite a drastic difference in terms of having a positive slope, whereas on the RVI it's flattened out. So again, that's another good thing to be seeing, the fact that the price is where it is, but yet the RVI has reset itself back down to levels that we're seeing when the price was much lower. Also, again, as the price is right on top of the 618 of the this historical inside pitchfork using Fibonacci levels. I also want to point out the importance of here highlighting this 382, this roughly kind of purplish pink line up to the 0.25 right here. This zone, as you can see, once XYO went below it, you can see rejection, 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 came down. This would be the second bottom of this overall, with this being the first bottom here. Second bottom, W pattern is set. XYO then comes up, breaks this zone right here, continues to go higher, and actually enters the bull market. So now I believe what we're seeing here is we're seeing the macro W here. We can also then trace out the exact same 382 zone to 0.25 here. You can see as XYO went below it right here, rejection, 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 coming down to 618. And for many reasons, not just because of the 618 that I've already gone over, could be seeing XYO locally bottom out here, continue to go higher up towards the next region, which is going to be around the upper bound. Actually, I don't think that, I'm not sure if that's actually is that the 0.25? Yeah, so basically what we're seeing happen here for XYO is finding resistance here on the lower bound of the 382 to the 0.25. Once it finally flips it, it then finds resistance at the upper bound 382 to 0.25 here. Again, we're seeing the same thing here. If it breaks back above it, assuming XYO still has a significant bull run to execute, we'll see it move up, very, mimicking what it did last time. Because I mean, obviously, we're already seeing XYO mimic past history in the current bull run with the whole, January, February, December, everything I've already pointed out. So we'll see XY move up here to the 0.25 to the 382, which is again validating somewhere around 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe even up to 20, 21 cents. Sometime around within this rough region right here, so around March, April, May or so. And then I think what's likely to happen here, as I've said recently, is that once this happens, we'll see XO kind of just, again, we'll see some retracements. It'll probably trade sideways. It might even have more of a downwards orientation like this, and then we'll see one final move upwards towards the price range here around 50 cents to $2.30 at highest. Now that's most conservatively and most reasonably speaking, as I've already said multiple times. I think at absolute maximum $36. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I really just don't think that's what is going to happen. I definitely don't think that's the most likely. If it goes higher than 50 cents to $2.30, I think somewhere around $7 to $14 is more likely, especially more likely than $36. But me personally, I'm looking to start to scale out at around 50 cents. And then once it starts to hit $1, that's honestly, might really just get rid of all of my position and not try to wait to see if it goes to $2 or even $7 or $14, because at that point greed is going to start playing a massive factor, and then obviously that's a human emotion, an aspect of human psychology that absolutely screws people over all the time, and not just cryptocurrency, but across the board when it comes to financial investments and trading the market. Now the last thing that I want to go over is, again, I just want to point out the temporal trends. I know I already went over this in the last video, so at this point I'm kind of just beating a dead horse, but we're seeing this temporal trend across the market. We see, going back to the beginning of Bitcoin's bull run, we look here at December 2022, January 2023. It moves up towards January, February 2023 here, then moves up to March, April at around $30,000. Corrects here down to September, October 2023, moves up to January, February 2024 here. Moves up to $75,000, corrects to September, October 2024. Recently, it has then moved up to around 108,000, 107,000, December 2024. Now it's January, February 2025, and XYO, or Bitcoin rather, here appears to be wanting to initiate this final leg towards the upside, just like it did back here, January, February 2024, and back here in January, February 2023. Now, I didn't go over Ethereum and Cardano and how they're demonstrating the same temporal trend. I mentioned it, but I didn't demonstrate it in the last video. And we'll see here, end of 2022, the beginning of the bull market, moves January, February here, 2023, from $1,600 to around $2,000. Then from here, March to April, around $2,000, moves into September, October 2023 at around $1,600, $1,700. Then moves to January, February 2024 at around $2,500. Moves up to March here, 2024, around 3.7 thousand. Corrects all the way down to September, October 2024 at around 2.567 thousand. Around almost $2,000 at lowest. Then moves up most recently, December, testing around $4,000 again. Now we're retracing into January, February. So again, if the trend is validated here and it furthers itself and it continues to do what it has done for the last 2 years, and it confirms the validation of the trend in the third year, we will more likely than not finally see Ethereum continue to go towards the upside here, parabolically, entering that final parabolic stage, entering that ecstatic, that frenzied euphoria that crypto has not seen. The entire bull market, from Bitcoin to the most obscure altcoins, that utterly euphoric, ecstasy-like frenzied state that Bitcoin bull markets, that crypto bull markets in general are known for, has not happened yet. Hasn't even gotten close to it, if you ask me. For the most part, this entire bull market has been institutionally driven. The engagement is rather still low on social media. Retail really does not seem to be here en masse yet, especially with the FOMO of, quote unquote, dumb money investing whenever things actually are really taking off, and they've really lost a lot of their opportunity because you have the dumb money buying in, towards the end of the actual parabolic phase. So, for example, somewhere like right here, when dumb money starts entering and they miss this entire and build up, which is the most important period to buy for a bull market, for anything, especially in crypto. If we look here at Cardano, we'll see the same thing. End of 2022 here, moves into January, February, has a small move up into March, April 2023, moves down, corrects September, October 2023, moves up to December 2023, into January, February 2024 here, moves into March, April 2024, corrects down to September, October 2024, moves up into recently December 2024. Now, again, really, I'm not trying to just be boring and bore you with saying the same thing over and over again across these different cryptocurrencies, but I don't feel like this can be overstated and demonstrated too much, because this obviously isn't just a coincidence that we're seeing this 3 years later, and it's the same time of the year, and everything is looking borderline exactly the same as it has in the past. We're also seeing, like, this move here, small. This move here was a little bit bigger than the first one, and I think this third move here is going to be absolutely massive compared to the prior ones, because alt season really just hasn't begun yet. Lastly, before I get into the final chart that I'm going to go over here for Phantom, this one was a little bit different. If you look here at end of 2022, moved into January, February here, really just went sideways, didn't really go up into March, April like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and XYO did, but still overall you're seeing the trend here. It moves all the way down into September, October 2023, moves into December 2023 here, corrects as January, February 2024, moves into March, April 2024, corrects back down into August, September, October, right here, 2024 moves into December 2024 and is now correcting into January, February 2025. So again, more likely than not, I think we'll start to see Phantom really enter that parabolic phase. I mean, this right here has just essentially been an extended accumulation period. Really, the genuine accumulation period would have been somewhere in this range right here. But I mean, this right here is when you want to optimally start accumulating and buying in and setting good positions before it really goes parabolic and borderline vertical. And that goes same thing here for in this region here for Cardano, in this region right here for Ethereum. Then here, finally looking at the total free chart. So this is the altcoin, really as altcoin as you can get outside of the others chart. This excludes Bitcoin and Ethereum and shows the market cap of everything outside of those two. And you'll also, again, see the exact same temporal trend here. So we see the end of 2022 here. It moves into January, February. This one's similar to Phantom, where it just kind of went stagnant into March, but then you see it corrects all the way down here into September, October 2023. Moves in here to December 2023, corrects into January, February 2024, moves into March, April 2024 to the local high here, corrects into September, October 2024 here, and then moves into December 2024, correcting into where we are now, currently, January, February 2025, as it is sitting right at the prior all-time highs. And if we just go back and look at the last bull market, as soon as the prior all-time highs are met, this was when the final stretch here began. But this time around, I think it's a little bit different because, I mean, just in comparison to the 2020 to 2021 bull market, and especially the 2015, 16, 17 bull market, it just seems to be that we're more so than, like, obviously in 2016 to 2017, things just went absolutely buck wild. I mean, if you look at something like XRP, for example, the way that it performed in 2016 to 17 and then compared to the way it formed in 2020 to 2021, completely different. It's like it's a different asset you're looking at, essentially. So this time around, what I think what we're seeing, what might be a reasonable way to characterize this, is that we're seeing this extended, like, accumulative, building up period of the entire altcoin market here, which could be characterized as this is the main accumulation period here. This is then an extended build-up period towards the prior all-time high. And then we're just going to see in a short time frame, 6 to 9 months, just borderline vertical parabolic action towards the upside. And that's going to translate here into something like Ethereum. You see this long, extended, cumulative building up period into right here where we are currently. And then I think we're going to quickly just going to see a rapid movement over around 6 to 9 months, generally just seeing the entire market top out this year. I mean, same thing goes for Cardano here, this extended accumulative build up into the parabolic phase here, and we're just going to see things go buck wild over the next 3, 6 to 9 months. And then obviously all that is ultimately related here to Bitcoin, it being the prime mover of the entire cryptocurrency market, as Bitcoin really starts to begin the second leg of the current leg here with, this is the first leg, this is the second leg, and then here's the third leg. Overall being a 5-stage impulse wave, as I've mentioned recently. And really, we're just waiting for all this to happen. Especially for something like XYO, we are just waiting for the for Ethereum really to break its prior all-time high and enter its parabolic phase before we see other more obscure altcoins like XYO or something like Phantom or Matic or Theta, Anchor, even any other coin, a lot of them, obviously. We need to see Ethereum start to really go crazy. Bitcoin needs to go crazy first, and then Ethereum and Cardano, and then all the other altcoins. Obviously, there's that chart that goes around that it talks about usually the way that the liquidity flows throughout a bull market, and I may or may not pop that chart up right now. I probably will, just to point that out specifically. But anyways, that was all that I wanted to go over, update and talk about in this video. But as always, none of this is meant to be financial advice, but all that being said and everything gone over, I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Ooh, I'm regretting now, won't die. See you forever, start to